Hey everyone, welcome to the Coding Zoo. If this is your first time joining, my name is Shane, and this is the CSS Building Blocks video series. We are on lesson number, what lesson are we on? Lesson number 7. And in this lesson, we are going to cover how to manipulate the margin in the CSS HTML box model. So we're going to learn different ways of doing that. So if that interests you, hey, stick around. We're going to jump right in. All right, so hey, on my desktop here, I have my index file, my styles sheet. I went ahead and grabbed the files that have the template of the HTML CSS box model. In previous lessons, we learned about the padding and the border, and in this lesson, we're going to learn about margin. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to this page, click refresh, make sure I got the most up to date. Here's the box model. So as a reminder, it has content. That content has padding around it, which is the space around it. And then after that padding, there is a border, and that border can be as wide as you want. We've covered padding and border in previous lessons. This lesson, we're going to cover this margin. So the margin is the space that's on the outside of your border. The padding is the space between your border and your content. Margin is the space between your border and other elements on the page. Let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so I'm going to go down to the bottom here, add a new div. Let's call it main. Okay, I'm going to add a paragraph. Okay, I'm going to go to my CSS here, and I'm going to add a ID or name selector for main. And I'm going to put a border around that div just so we can see it. All right, click save, click refresh. There we go. So here's this div. Here's my content, and there is no space between the content and the border. I haven't added any padding. We're not going to worry about that this lesson. Check out the previous lessons for that. I'm going to, if you notice the border here, it's right up against this other element's border. It's right up against this box model diagram here. It's right up against there. So there's no space there. It's also very close to the edge here too. So there's not much space there. So, and if I had something after this item here, you would see it's also very close. Let me do that real quick. All right, click save. I'm going to put a border around it also. Cut and paste, save some time. All right, click refresh. There you go. So you notice they're all scrunched up together there. So let's go ahead and manipulate that. Let's change the margin. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to set a margin of 20 pixels. Now you can use different measurements, pixels or points, cm, etc. I'm using pixels. Click refresh. There we go. So you'll notice my border stayed tight against the content because I didn't change the padding, but I did change the margin, which changed the margin on each side of the element. Right? So I added some on the top, left, right, and bottom. So pretty simple. Notice how the element after that got pushed down and there's space between it. Pretty simple. Now watch this. You can actually, this is one way to change it. This put 20 pixels on each side. So what if you wanted a different amount of pixels on left and right versus top and bottom? Well, one way to do that is to specify this. I'm going to say 20 pixels and 10 pixels, right? So 20 and 10. This should be 20 pixels on top and bottom, and then 20 pixels on the left and right. Well, I won't use 20. Let's use something a little smaller. It'd be hard to tell if it's working if I use 20 and 20. All right, here we go. Click save. All right, click refresh. Now we should see it jump to the left. There it goes. So it jumped to the left, and it still kept 20 from the top and 20 from the bottom. Let's make sure that's working correctly. Let's add 50. Let's make it 50. There we go. Click refresh. There we go. It's just got a small margin here, and 50 on top, 50 on bottom. What if I specified 3 values? How about 25? Well, how do you know which value goes to which side when you specify 3 or 4? If you specify 2, the first one is top and bottom. The second one is left and right. If you specify 3, well, there's 4 sides, so which 3, right? So I'm going to click refresh. All right. So on the top, I have the 50. So here's my 50 right here. Now so the top is 50. Now on the right, it's 5. And on the bottom is 25. So the way you tell is the first one is top, it's clockwise. The next one is your right, the next one is your bottom, and the next one is your left. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of doing 3, I'm going to go ahead and add 4. Let's add 100. So that should push it way out. Click save, click refresh. There we go, pushed it way out. So that's one way of specifying different width of margin on the different sides. So pretty cool. There's also another way of doing this. I could say erase this one, and let's just do margin top. Say 10 pixels. Let's do margin bottom. Do 20 pixels. Margin left. Let's do 5 pixels. And margin right. Let's do 150 pixels. So this is another way of setting those 4 values instead of doing it on one line. Or if you ever just need to set one, you can do it this way. So click save and click refresh. There we go. So on the left, I have 5 pixels. On the right, I have 150. On the bottom, you see it's greater than the top. So on the bottom, what I put? Bottom, I have 20. Top, I had 10. So that would explain why it's more on the bottom than the top. So there you have it. It's very simple to use, very easy to do. You can specify the margin both ways. You can put it all on one line using the property margin, and you can specify the 3 or 4 values, or you specify 1 value, 2, 3, 4, however you want to do it. Or you can specify each margin this way. So pretty simple. All right, so that's one way of adding space around your element to push it away from other elements on the page. Hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, leave me a message below. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, click the like button below. It helps us get the word out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click subscribe, and it'll let you know when we have more videos coming out. We have a CSS video playlist, a JavaScript, and an HTML playlist. We're also going to get into other technologies like React Native, and Java in the near future. So hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time.